Good morning. Happy Monday. Um, it is the 23rd of August, and I was kind of thinking, what do I want to talk about today? But I think what I'll muse on in today is an expansion of what I talked about on Friday. And then as I talked about I talked about a lot of things, but the one I wanted to expand upon was how we're ruining the youth. And I wanted to talk a little bit of detail, make this slightly shorter. Um, Still coffee. Um, Baseball specifically, more than any other sport, we're really ruining our kids. I mean, Pee Wee football players, they got the Heads Up program. Football, they're doing American football. They're doing a nice job with that. I think learning how to block, learning how to tackle, learning how to run, how to hold high and tight. Those kinds of things are good. We run into trouble with baseball because we're doing a little more unnatural things um, in that sport. So we got 8, 9-year-old kids doing a really, really high torque. I mean, they're bringing violence at the release, whether it's a curve, whether it's a slider, whatever it is. That does violence to the ligaments in the elbow. Um, the problem is, it's not just because I just don't want them to develop earlier. The point is that they can't. Their bodies are, regardless of how strong they are, the ligaments and the musculature is still, it takes time to build in and to be ready for that kind of torque. I recommend 12, 13 years of age personally before I have a kid throwing a curveball. If I'm coaching little league, I'm having them throw fastballs and straight changes, maybe a circle change, maybe a sinker because there's no real arm torque. Um, it's all in the grip of the baseball. But if you're throwing a torque high torque pitch, easy for me to say, you're really creating stresses on the ligaments. Now, is that going to get them at 8 or 9? No, it's going to get them later. That's why we have Tommy John's happening a lot more often and a lot sooner in these kids, and that you're going to have a hard time getting all that scar tissue out of there. You could either be shortening their careers or ending them. With today's medicine, probably shortening. And if you got a kid that's got a high ceiling, that's millions of dollars down the commode. Not a good look. So, what I think they should do instead is focus on multi sports. A lot of your velo, when you're throwing a baseball, a pitcher on a baseball mound, it's unnatural, yeah. But what I would do early on is I would work on core strength because velo is going to come from the legs. Um, Spin rate's going to come from the actual action you put on the baseball. That's going to be your wrists. It's going to be your elbow. It's going to be your ligaments. They need to be mature um, to be able to be durable, to be able to handle that kind of strain. But your velo, you can develop when they're 8, 9, 10 years old, and that comes from the legs. So you teach proper mechanics in Little League. You teach them how to get the arm away from the body instead of to drag it through the body. You drag it across the body, kind of like you're like this, and the arms coming this way, and you're dragging it through. It's behind because you think, oh, I have to have deception. I got to drag it through. Well, that puts stress on the inner side of the elbow. That's a mistake. Number one. Number two, it messes with the angle of the pitch. If you want to throw the ball to where it tails in on a right-hander, then you drop down. But you get the arm away from the body early on while you're still in the wind-up phase. You got your arm, you got your leg up over the mound, over the pitching slab. You got that arm out away from you. You don't have to worry about concealing the ball so much if you can hit a target. So if you've got location, it isn't going to matter whether you have some junky delivery that they have a hard time picking the ball up on. A quality hitter is going to pick up the ball coming out of your hand no matter where your hand comes from. They're going to adjust to you. So that's a gimmick. And what it does do, though, however, is it creates injuries. It creates arm issues. It creates shoulder issues. It creates lat strains. It creates all kinds of problems. And then, if that happens young enough, then in the rehabilitation, they get back on a mound, then they start favoring it, especially if they come back too soon. And now you've probably just lowered that boy's ceiling, if not collapsed it. So it happens all the time. And there are reasons why people don't reach ceilings. And there's reasons why people don't make the show, they don't make the minors when they have so much promise when they're younger. And it's really because we don't really produce them well, particularly in baseball. So I think, like I said, we work on core strength, we work on legs, we work on muscle, like movement. Let's teach movement up to 8, 9, 10 years of age. Throw only a fastball and a straight, like a circle change, Frankie Viola style, where you got the ball and you put the circle out here, grip the 3 fingers around, grip it deep in the palm, and it screws. It has a little bit of a screwball action to it without doing anything to your wrist or your ligaments, but it also takes a heck of a lot of speed off of it. Same arm speed, and you'll make people look silly. It's plenty good enough for 8, 9, 10-year-olds. It really is. Get them the velo they want. The fastball's not going to hurt them, as long as they have good mechanics. So you stack good mechanics, core strength, leg strength, calf strength is a little underutilized as well. And, work on, work on all the core muscles. Your ass end, for lack of a better term. Your glutes. That helps. All the ligaments from the leg down, from here down. You work your glutes, you work your hamstrings. That's what I was searching for. So you're working on all these muscle groups below the waist, particularly. You're working maybe with some band work, light band work, and maybe isokinetics, where you're using, pushing against the walls, push-ups, things like that, where you use the body as resistance, or you use go up against the wall that won't move. You're using your body for resistance. So you don't create injury, you don't create joint issues, but you create strength, upper body particularly. You do the same thing, band work or pulley work on the on the bottom as well, bottom half of the body, particularly laterally and front to back. Do a lot of work with the pulleys and band work versus free weights, because it does something that the free weights don't do. Free weights are going to not create a sense of like a freedom of motion. Okay, so they're not going to be quite as smooth, not quite as supple. It's going to be a little herky jerky with the motions, but you're going to create a nice flexibility aspect to your athlete in all the muscle groups. Okay, and then build upon that greater and greater resistance. Get into some weight training here or there, maybe in the off season, but work on that band work all year long. And as I've also said, they should be playing multiple sports, not just throwing a baseball. It's the way it is. Now, if I'm in basketball, do I want to play basketball year round? No, because you can give yourself, with the same principle, you can give yourself some injuries, knee injuries, ankle injuries, things of that nature, because you're using the same muscle groups, you're using the same ligaments in the same directions in the same way. You're going to create excessive wear, possible tears or strains. Strains more likely, tears worst case, and those are devastating. So I can add up sport after sport after sport, but I would say I think what we need to be doing is getting our kids core strength training, And by the way, that correlates with mental acuity, 1 to 1. That's been proven in multiple studies. So whether you're neurotypical or not neurotypical, there are benefits. It's sharper. So you want brain processing speed, you get that gut and you get that gut toned, not flat, toned. The more toned it is, better it is for the brain, better it is for how quick you can process information, which is good on any field you get into, or basketball court or whatever. So you want to do all these things to develop them, develop skills rather than a sport, and then go at 2 or 3 or 4 different sports throughout the year, and let's see what they get good at. Okay, that's what I'd like to see. We've gone way too far with the academies. We've gone way too far teaching kids these curveballs at 8 years old. It's a disaster. Everybody watches the Little League World Series, and this guy's got this great curveball, and it makes me sad because it's like you won't see that kid you won't see that kid in the majors. His arm will flame out way before that. You destroyed the kid, and he looks cool now, but I would rather see him learning how to change speeds by the amount of the grip, the ferocity of the grip, and then work in a circle change. Keep it simple. Work on location, being able to put a ball where you want it with proper mechanics. You do that, and then they can take them to finishing school at high school level, college level, pro level, and that kid's a number 1, number 2 starter in the majors. He's got time. Don't stunt him right from the beginning. He's reaching for the stars. You're taking him out by his knees. You don't even realize it. So build that base properly. Multi-sports. Don't play one sport all year round. Build the core, work out, cable kinds of work, pulleys or whatever, or bands. I think they're great. Work in the weight training, the free weights and things of that nature. Work them in later. 13, 14 years old. I mean, who are you trying to impress? All you're going to do is put too much meat on a frame that's not ready for it. So build these kids up from the bottom up, and you'll be glad you did. And you'll have a much better chance of getting your kids some really good opportunities out there. And worst case scenario, he doesn't make the majors. He has a pretty nice career wherever he ends up, and he's in great shape. And they say chicks dig the long ball, but I think chicks dig dudes that are in shape. It's more likely so. No bad answers there. Very few people get to the majors anyway, so give them a shot. Don't take it away from them when you're doing the thing that you think is going to get them there. So a little bit of rambly today. Sorry about that, but try to have it a little more scripted on Wednesday. Comments would be great, and as I always say, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the ringy dingy, say all, and then spread the video far and wide. And I will catch you Wednesday morning. Peace.
See ya.